Welcome to the LiftOneSelf podcast, where we break mental health stigmas through conversations. I'm your host, NatNat, and we dive into topics about trauma and how it impacts the nervous system. Yet we don't just leave you there. We share insights and tools of self-care, meditation, and growth that help you be curious about your own biology. Your presence matters. Please like and subscribe to our podcast. Help our community grow. Let's get into this. Oh, and please remember to be kind to yourself. Welcome to the LiftOneSelf podcast. Kashani, I am so thankful you're here with me.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for asking me to be on. I'm really excited for this conversation.
Me too. Will you join me in a meditation so that we can settle our minds and connect our hearts?
I would love to.
And for the listeners, most of you sometimes are driving or running while listening to a podcast. I would ask you, please do not close your eyes. We want you and the others to be safe. Yet the other prompts that I bring Kashani and myself into, you can follow also. So Kashani, I'll ask you to close your eyes. And you're going to begin breathing in and out through your nose. And you're going to bring your awareness to watching your breath go in and out through your nose. And if you can be as precise as feeling the air come in through your nostrils, going down into your lungs, into your belly. And just keeping that awareness on your breath. There may be some sensations or feelings that are coming up. It's okay. You're safe to feel them. You're safe to release them while still staying focused on your breath. Surrender the need to control, release the need to resist, and just be. Be with your breath. Drop into your body. Continue staying with your breath. Still staying with your breath and dropping more into your body. Now, while staying with your breath, at your own time, in your own pace, you're going to gently open your eyes while still staying with your breath.
That felt amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. I love doing these to remind people to take these mindful moments. As you know, we only meditated for maybe a minute and a half. And sometimes we forget what a minute and a half can do for us.
Yeah, it's so powerful to just take that minute and to tell your mind who's boss for a second. Because sometimes we don't do those breathings and then we're just running on a hamster wheel up here and we just are like, whoa. You know that song, What One Dance Won't Do?
Yeah.
It's like what one breath, like what one breath can do, what 1 minute can do. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, even a second. Just doing those, interrupting our reaction and our reactivity when our nervous system is activated so that we can slow down, like you said, that hamster wheel, that rat race that goes on in our head with like 1,000 thoughts being fired all at once. And it's like you feel like you have to go in all kinds of different directions where it's like, wait, let me come into my body, into my breath, and know that, you know what, I have to be right here, right now. And what's the next step I can take? How's your heart doing?
My heart is doing good. My heart is doing good. I'm in love with life and I haven't been always in love with life. And so when I am, I'm like, is this really happening? Are we really healed and healthy? So I'm happy, I'm healthy. I'm getting messages from Shalika right now. So I'm blessed. I have good friends. One sec, let me turn off my notifications.
Okay. Can you let the listeners know who Kashani is?
Okay, who Kashani is? Kashani is an amazing person who has overcome a lot, and a lot of people wouldn't even know, because I tried to show the world a warrior face and a warrior figure and somebody who can still laugh and smile, although I've gone through a lot of struggles and tragedies and mental health issues. And I'm born and raised in Ottawa. I went to Manor Park, I went to Fisher, I went to Carleton, I went to Glebe. I basically followed my mom's footsteps. Every school she went to, I was like, I want to be there. I coached track and field for 10 years and competed in the javelin, and then found my voice in teaching group fitness classes. So I am also an instructor, and I am also a singer. I'm basically a lot of things, and I just try to show the world little snippets of that at a time.
You mentioned your mother, so I'm gonna bring Fiona into the conversation, and so that she can strengthen us in this dialogue and we can feel her on the other side of love. Can you let
Mhm.
the listeners know who Fiona was, who your mom was, or is, I should say?
Let's keep it together, Kashani. You've got this. You can.
We can just pace yourself. Remember to breathe.
My mom was an amazing person. Anyone who met her was immediately changed by her. Anyone who saw her was just like, whoa, who is that? And that's how I always felt about her, even though I was around her every day. Just everything awed me about her, how she spoke, how she walked, how she sang, her work ethic. My mom was just one in a million, and she just gave me so much inspiration and so much realness. And as much as people from the outside might think like, oh, you and your mom were just friends, I very much was not just her friend. She was my mom. I had the utmost respect for her. I was not allowed to swear in front of her. I had a lot of rules and regulations. My mom was always putting me on a Fiona program. And I miss her so much. My mom passed away in 2021 while she was on vacation in Jamaica. And I spoke to her the day before, after getting a phone call from her at lunch, and then being like, oh, I could brush that phone call off and catch it later or get her to call me back. But I just called in sick to work, and I was like, hey, like I can't make it in the afternoon. And I just spent an hour on the phone with my mom. And I'm so grateful for that, because the next morning, she passed away. She suffered from a laryngospasm, which is similar to or it can present as an asthma attack at first. And she did have asthma. And my mom was only 52. She looked like she was 32. Most of the times, if we were in Jamaica, I'd have to remind people, like, that's my mom. Like, we can't be like, we're not having a party right now. Like, my mom is there, like, to keep the weed away from me. But yeah, I miss my mom terribly. I think about her every day. I dream about her every night. And those people who are listening who knew my mom know exactly how much of a struggle the last 2.5 years have been.
So, as you said, it was in 2021, so in the prime of COVID. And
Yes.
so, how was that experience? Because you said she was in Jamaica. So, how was it having an experience? Like, did you have a funeral? How was the burial? What was that experience?
So COVID presented a lot of roadblocks that, already with dealing with a sudden death of somebody who's so young and full of life, all these other steps of grief already are pouring in, like that's not fair, that's not life, why me, all of this stuff. But it got even worse with the fact that I wasn't able to go to Jamaica to pronounce her body, or to actually see this happening, because at the time, you couldn't travel if you didn't have your vaccine, and I wasn't on the list yet. I was young, working from home, and there was no need for me to get the vaccine yet. So I wasn't able to travel. Then we had to cremate her, which in all honesty, that was her wish anyways. So that wasn't something that I had to really struggle with. Well, why are we doing this? Like, she wanted that. So we had to cremate her and then bring her back to Canada. And then after that, the funeral was delayed a year. So there was this open wound that had no closure for about a year. And one of the steps of grief is bargaining. And I convinced myself my mom was on an undercover mission in India and that they needed to fake her death and have her go to India undercover to discover all of the things that were happening within immigration, because she was an immigration officer. And so I, dabbled with that imagination and that idea for a while. And eventually things became very real. I was like, wait a minute here. My mom was obsessed with me too and loved me too. And my front door just opened and it's and no one is here. So just hold on a minute. I've got to go close my door.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm back.
Invite your mom in.
Yeah, she just walked in the door. So well, I'll go on, Fiona. Yeah, so not able to have a funeral and no closure, and then also bargaining with this idea that maybe she hasn't passed away. Maybe she's just like needed to do this mission. She loved her job so much. Maybe she's just like, Shannon and Shamari are super strong. They'll be able to figure it out without me for a bit. But it's been 2.5 years. She's not on that mission in India anymore. And I need to start my own mission of healing. And that mission did not go as planned for a little while. So yeah.
I'm sure it was really, the part of grief is feeling physically the body so that there is a closure. And I take it that you weren't able to have that part of the closure of feeling her body, just seeing video or picture.
Not at all.
It's very understandable your mind would play any kind of imaginary stories to avoid the pain of the loss and knowing that this is what this new reality is, because it's a whole new life. It's a whole new space to interact with reality. And our biology is very, at times we want to curse it and get angry that it's doing certain things where it's like, no, this is a defense. This is a system that will have defense mechanisms to protect you at all cost, because that deep pain of grief feels like a death for yourself, like the part of you died.
Oh, a huge part of me died. That even something I came to terms with the other day, there's a version of me that only my mom knew and got to see behind closed doors. There was a laugh that I laughed only around her. It doesn't happen around other people. I hear it in videos and I'm like, whoa, I haven't laughed like that. We used to laugh like we were both our own comedy shows with each other. And I'm so grateful the amount of videos I have of my mom. I could make a 6-hour movie just about her from the videos I have on my phone. But there's a laugh that I haven't laughed in a while. And there's just a freedom and like the silliness that I would do in the living room around her that I'm still very confident and very silly around just about anyone. But there's just some stuff that I won't be doing anymore. And at the same time as it's sad, like how grateful and how amazing to have experienced that for 30 years.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people have very strong, close relationships with their parents. Not a lot of people are in love with their moms like I was. Like that, not a lot of people get to experience that. So in the same time that I'm sad, I'm super grateful. I'm super grateful that half the data on my phone or half the space on my phone is taken up with videos of her and not other stupidness as she would call it.
And she provided that safety for you just to be yourself without that analyzing brain trying to contort that I have to be a certain way, that you could just be your authentic self, and you felt that safety that she wouldn't push it away, that there was acceptance.
At all. And even if she was laughing at me, like it wasn't, it was just, I knew she was laughing because of me and not like trying to dim my light or trying to be like, Shan, like, just sit down. But she would be very, very quick to be like, okay, be quiet. It's enough now. Please give me a break. But it just was, there was so much love and so much acceptance that I'm missing it, but I'm also grateful I got to experience it.
So, as you said at the beginning of the podcast, you're in love with life. And I love seeing this energy on you. And it's palpable. You can feel it in your presence, because we went to do karaoke the other night, and just hearing the vibration, and the joy that comes out of you, and the confidence of accepting yourself exactly where you are, whatever that looks like in that moment, and being around people that will have that acceptance and be there with you.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that at the beginning, so you're on the other side of somewhere. Can you give the listeners a peek of what that journey looked like, and possibly what modalities or what tools you used, or what inner healing you had to go through that journey?
So the journey is still going on. I just want to make that very clear that I might be smiling and laughing, giggling, singing, all that stuff, but I still very much have my days, and I still have to encourage myself that feelings are meant to be felt. I don't want to be numb through this. I don't want to just soldier through and, not give the emotion that's due. Like, I owe a lot of tears to this experience, but in the beginning, the anger, uh, it almost ruined me. The amount of anger that I had having to lose my mom so young. I was angry that she wasn't going to be at my wedding. I was angry that she'll never get to meet my grandkids. I was angry that she'll never have pictures with my grandkids. My brother has 3 kids, and 2 of them have pictures with her. And I was like, man, I want that. I want that. That's not fair. Although I'm not jealous of my brother or the grandkids. I wanted that too. I was angry that we're not going to be going on trips anymore, and all of that anger, um, it got me in trouble. It made me quit my job. It made me lash out and get angry at people that didn't deserve it. But, hurt people hurt people. And when I'm hurt, I realize that there's no rational thinking. I'm whoever's in my line, and whoever is in my vicinity that I want to get angry at, there's just no self-control, which is, it can be for some people embarrassing. It was very embarrassing for me for a while. But then I realized there are some people that stuck around with me through that and didn't punish me for what I was experiencing and didn't punish me for how I reacted. And besides the grief layer and the COVID layer and the lack of closure and all that stuff, prior to this happening, I was already coping with bipolar disorder. And that chemical imbalance in my brain, when anger and grief and loss came up, I went crazy. I was hospitalized more than once, and not the type of hospitalization where you get to leave. I was not allowed to leave for a few days, and sometimes 2 weeks. And I was there and knowing at the same time, like, this is for my own good, but also very angry that I had to experience that too, and embarrassed that, like, oh my gosh, people are going to think I'm crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But what people think about me, so cliche, it's none of my business. I don't care as much as I used to. I used to care. What did they think about that? Or what if they found out about this? Maybe they saw me running away from the police. Maybe all of these things. You know what? It's fine. The psych ward is open and available for everyone. And I hope that, not everyone has to experience that, but it's not just a Kashani thing.
Mm-hmm.
It could be just your friend. It could be your coworker, it could be your neighbor. Anyone can end up there for a wide variety of things, not just hearing voices, not just self-harm. Not There was a lot of people in there that I was like, whoa, you too? What happened? And you realize that we all have this story that we're just trying to work through, and some of us just feel things a little bit deeper than others. And that's what happened.
What did the forgiveness process look like for yourself?
The forgiveness process was complicated, but it started with me realizing that some of my closest people had forgiven me and they hadn't even faulted me. They hadn't really held anything against me. I was doing that to myself. And so, I needed to forgive myself for the way that I treated myself, for the way that I didn't give myself space and tried to rush this process of, okay, I should be back at work next month. Fiona would have been back at work next month, to be honest.
Okay.
She would have, when my grandmother passed away 2 years before her. And my mom was back on a plane to Nigeria the next month because she worked abroad. And no, it probably wasn't the best idea for her, but I realized that in her own grief process, I learned a lot of things from it. I learned that I'm on my own time. It's Kashani time. And that's why like my Instagram name is Kashani o'clock. It's Kashani time. Like I don't need to be on anyone else's clock right now. I need to figure out how can I go back to work and not want to cry at my desk, because I don't think that's healthy to just grin and bear it. Some people do it, but I didn't want to do it. And I didn't think that it was going to serve me in the
Yeah,
long run.
for sure. And for you to have that awareness that you were always following your mom's footsteps, and then this happened, and it's like, I need to do it my way for this. Even though I saw my mother model a way for her mother, I don't know if you allowed yourself to see, like, my relationship with my mother was probably different than the relationship your mother had with her mother, which is all the case. And it's like, wait a minute, I don't have to be somebody else. I have to be me, and I have to take
Yeah,
care of my needs.
100%. And it didn't happen right away. Like a lot of these revelations and epiphanies come after a couple weeks, maybe a couple months of doing it the wrong way, and then just surrendering and realizing like, wait a minute, I need to figure this out for myself. 3 days of bereavement, what is that? That's crazy. I wrote into my work and I said, hi, it's me. You're about to see someone take the most amount of time off work you've ever seen. You're going to see doctor's notes that you didn't even know could be written. And they were like, what? And I'm like, yeah, this is what works for me. And if I don't belong here or you don't want me to work here anymore, let me know too. But this is not going to be something I'm going to pass down. I'm going to handle this the right way, and I'm going to take the time that's needed. And I wish that more people advocated for themselves in that situation and didn't spend so much time wondering what everyone else thought, or what is everyone else going to think about me taking a year off.
And
What
also the
everyone,
space
go
to
ahead.
feel,
Yeah.
because your work lets you be busy and not really pay attention to what's going on. And like you said, I didn't want to grin and bear it and look like I have it all together. I actually want to feel my feelings. And some people, it's a real threat to feel that stuff.
It is. It's not comfortable. It's not cool. It's not a sexy feeling. It's so confusing, because you're like, wait a minute, I've dealt with other tough things before. Why can't I just get up and go? Why can't I just push this aside and disassociate and all the detach? You know how many videos I watched on YouTube about detaching? Yeah, it's a really good tool in some instances. You do need to have some sense and ability to detach. But from something like this, I wouldn't suggest it, because it's going to attach to you later. It's going to come back. It's going to be like, hello, remember me? Yeah, so I just decided I'm not going to detach, and I'm going to the opposite of disassociate. I'm going to associate with this grief.
Yeah, you're going to face the pain. You face
Yeah.
the pain. And
Yes.
that is warrior work to do that in a society that says, just take some pills, just keep going with your routine and just do it this way. Where it's like,
Yeah.
there's going to be a buildup. Like you may want to numb, but this thing ain't going away until I actually feel it and face it.
And to speak to your point about taking pills and stuff, I'm not a no medication ever advocate. That's not me. I know some people are and they think they could breathe it away, they could incense and sage it away and all this stuff. But there is a place for medicine at some stages of your mental health crisis and your grief. And for some people, they might need to do this a little bit longer. I never speak directly to what I did because it's not going to help you. You're a
Mhm.
totally different person, and you might need to be on Tylenol for a bit, you
Mhm.
know, but you also might need to be on Seroquel, and
Mhm.
you also might need to be on Latuda and lorazepam and all of these other things. But I wouldn't say don't be open to that for the maybe instance that it's needed, because there was a time when I really did need some medication to sleep, because
Mhm.
without sleep I wasn't healing, and without sleep I wasn't able to give my body the rest it needed. My mind was coming up with all these scenarios of how to get my mom back, how to fly to India, how to bump into her, how to all these scenarios, and I really did need a little
Of
help
course.
in this department. Yeah.
And I'm not one of no medication neither. My part is when there's medication given, are you allowing a space for these people to actually feel what they need to feel? And a
Yes.
lot of times it's just take the medication, you'll feel better, and it'll go away. Where it's like, that's not how grief is. And so it's understanding that the medication is a tool to still feel the process. It won't be as intense. There
Yeah.
will be an edge taken off so that you can function, yet it's also use the tools to be able to feel this stuff, not just try to shove it in a junk drawer and just go away and I can bypass this. Because a lot of
Yeah.
times what you hear from people with medication, or as soon as somebody's feeling some uncomfortable feelings, oh, well, we can just give medication for it. Yet that's a bypassing of there's some emotions that are going to suck, stink, have jagged pieces that you're going to have to feel to let
Yeah.
it process through your system so that your nervous system isn't dysregulated and hypervigilant all the time. It's like
100.
you keep holding on to these emotions and not feeling them. Your nervous system's just ramped up with energy of dysregulation, of feeling
Mhm.
unsafe, and that there's these things you're avoiding. Like, I don't have time for this. Like, don't bother me. And it tries to come up. And so it's just this internal cycle. So when I say, the medication, like for me, at times it's like, okay, somebody passed away and the first thing is like medicate them. And it's like, okay, well, wait a minute. Is there a part where you're allowing them to just feel what they're feeling without putting the pressure? You need to get back to work. You need to get to do this. You need to get to do that. Like just be with the grief of that. And I don't think our society holds space enough. Like you just said, 3 days of bereavement and my mother passed away.
Yeah, that part, I'm not sure. We've advanced in so many other areas in society. What's that about? It just seems so inhumane. Maybe, you know what? Maybe take 3 days for your cat or your dog or your hamster, you know? Maybe that's for that level. And maybe for some other people, it's even longer. But for a parent that you really, really loved and that you had such this attachment to, I just think there needs to be a scale, just like there needs to be a better way. Because maybe some people would abuse that system and be like, oh, I loved my mom so much, I need a month off, but they never actually talked to them in the last year. And then
Mhm.
people would abuse it. But I think there needs to be a reassessment of that.
And even if they didn't talk to their parent, there's still stuff that they need to process because now this parent isn't there. So they're going to have to face things that there's
Un-
boundary work.
Unfinished business, unfinished business that's going to come up.
Yeah.
But no, it's back to business as usual.
The industrial complex, support, get the stats, get the production, and your personal life, just put it aside, put your workforce face on, and just put your personal life aside. And it's like, my personal life is a part of my workforce life. Like, there is no separation of personal life. Like, it is always with me. My biology is carrying me through all of this.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you for opening the dialogue about the medication, because I am nowhere one of, oh, just stop medication. If you need it, then take what the tools there is. My thing is, if you're going to take the medication, don't ignore your inner work. Because if you think you're taking this and it's going to make everything go away, well, I have a sad story to tell you, that your body is going to release this in different ways in the long term. And it might
And
not
that,
be right now. It could be decades later, but it's going to want to reveal itself.
and to speak to that point as well, when you're taking medication, don't just stop it because you feel better and you think, I've handled this, I've dealt with this, because like you just said, that stuff can start to creep back up and shock your system and shock you. And you might be so overwhelmed with all those feelings that were suppressed that you need to titrate off of your medication. You do need medical support. I will admit, I tried to just, stop medication by myself. And I was very quickly met with the reality, like, wait, I actually need to listen to what it says on the bottle. I need to go call my doctor and we need to have a discussion. And I'm so grateful for my medical team because they are so supportive. I've never had an appointment where I feel like I'm not going to be heard, or where I'm just going to be told, well, what do you expect? Like, it's just pure professionalism. And I love that. And I'm so lucky for that, because I've been able to say, hey, you know what? I'm doing all the right things. I'm eating, I'm walking, I'm journaling, I'm doing all of those things consistently, not just 1 week of that and thinking, okay, I found the solution, but I'm doing these things. I want to entertain the idea of lowering this dose, maybe changing that. And they were very open to it and supportive of me trying to find my own wings again, and find my own self, because some of these medications, and people who have experienced this will know, it can make you not feel like yourself. And nobody wants to wake up every day going like, what, like, why don't I even like the taste of that anymore? Why don't I my favorite perfume, I didn't like the smell of it anymore, and there's only other one thing that changed. So I'm like, is this when I'm signing up forever? And it might not be forever, but holding that time and space, and making sure you're listening to yourself, but also listening to your doctors. Yeah.
Yeah, to get that soundboard, because sometimes
Yes.
our mind plays tricks with us. And like you said, exactly, if you don't have radical honesty with yourself, which is part of the healing, you don't even, and when you're saying this overwhelm of things creeping up, there's emotions that you've never interacted with before. So that overloads the system, because it's like, what the heck are these feelings and sensations and chemical releases that are going on that are just turning my world upside down? And so
Yeah.
being to have a space of like, no, you don't have language for this. We got to feel this and have a somatic release, and movement is needed. So your body can give an expression for this, and it can, and I'm thankful that you brought up the conversation of anger, because people, as I say with my clients, it's have a healthy relationship with anger. Many of us don't have a healthy relationship with anger because we're taught that anger is not a good thing, where it's like, it is an emotion that is very needed and it needs expression. So you have to work with it, not against it, and not shaming and chastising yourself, and especially not projecting it out, because it's a heavy energetic load. So it's like, how can you start befriending it to hear the messages it's telling you, and also give it expression? Go to a smash room, do some dancing, do some breathing, scream in a forest, whatever, dancing, singing. I highly suggest screaming in a pillow, so that it can stimulate your vagus nerve, which is in the back of your throat, which is part of your nervous system. And people will be like, screaming a pillow, like, that's kid stuff. And I'm like, did you ever do it as a child? No. So let's try. I understand it's counterintuitive and your mind is like, this is so stupid, yet just try. And then when they do and they do it and they're like, oh, something opened up in my body. I don't feel so much of the stress. And I'm like, these are the things that you need. These are tools that are accessible to you that
Yeah.
unfortunately aren't always articulated.
Mm-hmm.
How is your relationship with anger?
My relationship with anger is a lot better now. It wasn't. Um, and at the time, I wasn't really doing anything to deal with it. I kind of did the opposite of everything I was doing. I wasn't running anymore. I wasn't teaching fitness classes anymore. I wasn't going for walks. I wasn't biking. I wasn't doing anything. And I realized for me, as like my natural athlete wants to come out, movement is how I deal with anger. I need to move through it. I need to sing. And then for a really long time, because my mom sang and my mom was so in love with music, I couldn't even listen to music or sing. Every song I sang reminded me of her. So I just started crying. I stopped singing. I stopped dancing. I stopped everything. And then I went back and I'm like, wait a minute. Maybe that's why this process is taking so long, because I've stopped everything that I innately know is going to help me. And so I started doing those things again. I started teaching. Did I start teaching when I was 100% healed and I felt my best self and confident and I felt like, okay, I've overcome this? No, I started teaching when I was still crying at the end because, oh my gosh, this song is Fiona's song. Like I started doing it uncomfortable, but I was surrounded by people who just let me be me, like let me be what I was going through, no judgment. And you can, as much as people be like, oh, we're not judging, judgment is an energy. It's not just by saying something. So surrounding yourself with people who aren't judging you for real, not just, oh, Shan, I don't mind if you, I can tell if you mind. So just being around realness was very important for me. Having people to call at awkward hours and knowing that it wouldn't be a, oh my God, she's calling me again. Yes, it's me again. I have something I'd rather talk to you about than the police. So let's talk for 10 minutes because that's just what works for me.
Mhm.
And now, you know, how I deal with anger is sitting with it for a bit, being mad, talking to some people about it, and then moving, not being stuck on the couch again. You know, I was dealing with something yesterday that literally had me on in the fetal position on the couch. And halfway through the day, I was like, wait a minute. You know what you need to do? You need to go do the dishes. You need to go for a walk. Like you need to do these things that, oh, you don't feel like it? You have to. You have to, or else you're going to end up right back where you were before. And I just rather do the dishes and the laundry and all that stuff uncomfortable than be even more uncomfortable in what I was experiencing before. I still did order Uber Eats. I still ordered some food because I love food. But I didn't order what I might have ordered a year ago, which would have been like way more bad stuff for me and my mood. I ordered stuff that felt good, which for me is jerk chicken. You know, a year ago, I would have ordered like Haagen-Dazs and I would have ordered cinnamon buns and I would have ordered all this stuff that maybe after eating it, I would have felt bad about myself anyways. I'd be like, oh, why did I have no? I ordered some jerk chicken because I knew that like that's what makes me feel at home.
Yeah.
That's what makes me feel better. So yeah, it's not like not everything's perfect and I'm not dealing with everything in a textbook matter, but I was proud of myself for doing that. I literally was like, there's growth here.
There is. It's huge because you engage with your biology and realizing like, okay, I'm in a fawn, like the 4 F's, the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So that fawn place, that's really difficult to really engage with and have the awareness like I'm here and I know I have tools to bring me out of this dimension, out of this stage. Yet it's like to just shock it and be like, oh, get up. And it's like, physically you cannot override your biology. So when you are in a stuck space in your nervous system, it's, you know, expanding your awareness, having the gentleness, and okay, what can we do to do small steps? And like you said, like, okay, I know I'm going to need some food, yet I know I want sugar and that's a short-term real good high, yet the crash afterwards is not good. So where can I meet myself? Where can I still treat myself? Where can I find something that will soothe, yet it feels like a better feedback? It's a more positive feedback loop.
Yeah, and my brain's going to thank me for it later, because your brain doesn't really function on sugar. It doesn't really send you the positive feedback you need, and it's not your hype man anymore. The second you eat that, I'm not saying don't, but when you're in that mood, when you're in a bad mood where you're already, on a crash, get something that's nourishing. And I'm not talking about a cucumber, like, or a salad, like get some like Jamaican food. And that's what I got, and I was happy about it.
Yeah. I think what's really important for people to understand is protein and fats and the
Yeah.
proper fats.
Yeah.
Like there's a difference between an avocado fat and a McDonald's fat.
Mm-hmm.
They both will help you, yet the way it's going to nourish your brain and all of the rest of your systems is a different way the energy is going to be built in you. Um,
Yeah.
and at times though, I want to give the language, like if you're in a fawn position where you're like fetal, you're lethargic, you can't move anywhere, and I just need some sugar, it's like, it's not this all or nothing. Meet
Mm-hmm.
yourself there, yet be able to create the language and the journaling of what is a different step I can take when I'm in this high alert so that I can access it in a way that it's there right there. I don't have to make decision making because you don't have that neural energy. So it's like,
Yeah.
what can I put in place to catch myself, to better understand? Um, Yet it's again, not chastising your body, not shaming and guilting yourself to guilt yourself out of making these actions, because that never works. It even puts you into a place that is even deeper. It's
Yeah.
honoring your body, honoring your defense mechanisms, and having acceptance of listening. Why are we here? What's going on? And how can I provide the safety so that we can create this momentum and movement within us?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you've said it better.
Can you let the listeners know about your new adventures that you have created and what you are bringing forth in the community?
Okay. So, yeah, this is super exciting because I haven't really told a lot of people. It's been something I've been working on the background and, growing behind the scenes, kind of like how bamboo works. Bamboo grows under the surface for a long time before it sprouts. And I am excited to announce that I'm sprouting a fitness studio in Orleans. I have been teaching bamboo bar throughout Ottawa for the last 10 years. It is a fitness class that I came up with that uses the combination of yoga, Pilates, and ballet with resistance bands and bamboo sticks. So I have finally decided to take that leap and to work through the fear and the doubt of being an entrepreneur and just go for it. And I'm really excited that I'm going to be opening. The goal is to open on Mother's Day. I really want that to happen, but as things progress and I get in the space, things might come up. I'm open to things coming up, and maybe my deadline doesn't work. I'm not going to get sad about it. But my goal is to honor my mom on Mother's Day and open my studio in Orleans on Mother's Day. I've spent the last 2 years at a grave on Mother's Day, and I just decided, wait a minute, I can take this date and turn it around, and I can make this something beautiful, and I can honor my mom, and I can let everyone know that bamboo bar is the first was an idea that I first brought up to my mom. And she was like, yeah, that's so cool. Go for it, Jen. And she supported it. She's come to my classes. She would, be so proud of me to open this studio. So that's what I'm doing. And the secret is out.
Where can the listeners find out more information and where can they contact you?
Yes. So I think two ways. Instagram, you'll be able to see a lot of pictures and videos of the class to really get an idea of it. So my Instagram is at bamboo bar. Bar is spelled Barre. I know that people are going to pronounce it barre for the first little bit, but it is bamboo bar. And you can also visit my website, which is www.bamboobar.com. And if you really want to take some classes right away before we even get into the studio, I have a few classes up on YouTube. If you just type in Bamboo Bar on YouTube, you'll be able to see some classes there as well.
Thank you. I will be their Mother's Day supporting. It's just there's not much things in Orleans, so when things pop up and it's part of the community, it's like don't have to travel. So you have my support and my
Amazing.
encouragement. And as we started this podcast, I brought in Fiona and your door opened up. So it's allowing yourself to flow with the energy of it. It might feel uncomfortable to have the expansion and a little bit too good to be true. And it's like, whoa, where is this energy? Where is this flow? Yet it's allowing yourself to remember when you pull a bow and arrow, there's a lot of energy and a lot of strength that needs to go back, and it feels really uncomfortable. Yet the thrust and the pivot that goes is way further than what you had to be pulled. And so
Yeah.
allow yourself to run with that energy.
Exactly. And it's cool that you use the example of a bow and arrow because I spent about 15 years throwing the javelin, and it's the same idea behind it. You actually have to run away from the javelin before you throw it. You hardly see it in your eyesight. You don't even see where the javelin is, and then it just propels forward when you actually put the brakes on and when you stop. And when you stop, all that momentum goes forward, and this spear just goes right past you, and you're like, whoa, I didn't know I was capable of that. And that's kind of what's happening now. Like, I didn't know that after where I'm coming from last year, not working, not eating, not talking to people, not hanging out with anyone, not leaving my house. Like, I didn't know that from where I'm coming from, that just a year later, I would be embarking on this endeavor of opening a studio. That, yeah, it scares me often. But now I've kind of reframed that scared feeling. It's excitement. And I haven't been excited about something in a really long time, to be honest. Like things haven't been as exciting because I haven't been able to call Fiona to tell her about it. Like
Yeah.
even when I learn a new song, I'm like, oh, I just want to sing the song with her and like just explain it. But I'm really excited about this and I'm really grateful that I'm able to feel this again.
Remember, excitement without breathing is fear. So just
Okay.
remember to breathe. You're not breathing.
Oh, I love that. I didn't know that's what was happening. It's because I'm not breathing. Got it. So excitement without breathing is fear. I love that.
You have to open up your system to receive what all the information, and you're going into the unknown and uncertainty, and the nervous system's like, we don't think this is safe. So it
Because it
closes you
wasn't
up.
safe. The unknown for the last 2 years, it wasn't safe. And
Mhm.
so even when I first started looking at locations, ordering equipment, my chest started to clench up again. And that's literally what happened for 2 years. Like I didn't take a full breath. I had to do physio in order to breathe properly again because I was just very shallow and this in fear all the time. So yeah, I'm gonna breathe through this and I'm gonna, just I'm excited to get back into the community and I'm excited to meet new people and to share this passion of mine with people. This is not something I just started doing last week and I just want to open a studio because, this has been growing under the surface. In 2012 is when I came up with Bamboo Par. In 2012 is when I stuck my javelin in the ground and started demonstrating bar poses to kids that I was coaching. And even now, I opened my old laptop and I found my old business plan that was almost done, but something else came up. I think my grandmother passed away. And the goal was to finish my business plan by January 2013, something like that. Okay, just add on 11 years. That's that's what happened. And it's still happening and I'm really excited about it.
Yeah. You've done alchemy. You've taken the impurities and you've turned them into gold, and you're offering it to other people.
Thanks. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for being a guest and allowing yourself to be so vulnerable, and sharing, your mother with us and the love that you have for your mother and sharing her presence with us. Because it's just, this is the other side of love that people don't talk about. And it's a space that doesn't have a ground. So, falling in that and the expansion and rediscovering a new space, it takes a time to adjust and to be able to relate to the new space. In the meditation, are you willing to share what the intention was?
Yeah, I'd love to. The intention was realness. I just wanted to be real about everything and to allow people to hear my realness and also feel like, wait a minute, I've been talking myself out of my own realness all this time when I've heard somebody speak their truth and immediately I feel like, whoa, I have a story too. So I really wanted to channel realness and for people to hear a relatable story. Grief is something that all of us are going to experience at some point. And even if it's the grief of losing a job, the grief of losing a relationship, grief, like we're all going to experience it. And I just want people to know, like, it's a very real emotion. You're allowed to feel it. You're allowed to not feel like yourself for a little bit as well. You're allowed to maybe lose relationships because people don't know how to feel that too, because maybe they don't experience realness or know what that's like. But yeah, and I'm really thankful that you've given me this opportunity to share and to find my voice and to, have one person at least listen to this story and feel like, wait a minute, I need to get back on my goals. I need to get back up and I need to get back moving. And one of the acronyms that I use is called getting my cash back. Going through this experience, I felt broke mentally, spiritually, physically, and financially, actually. But the ones that I was really dealing with was the mental brokenness. And I started coming up with these acronyms. And the one that really landed with me was just using my own name, Cash. And so the K stands for keep pressing play, stay in the present moment, act as if you don't have the rewind or the fast forward. You just got to stay here right now, be here right where you're supposed to be. The A is for apologize to yourself. As Canadians, we're so quick to apologize to everyone else. Oh, sorry for not opening the door for you, even though you're 2 minutes away, but we just apologize. Start getting comfortable apologizing to yourself. Sorry for the way I nourished you yesterday. I know that you deserved a better meal. I know that you deserved 8 glasses of water instead of 2 Cokes. So saying sorry to yourself. The S is for start moving. Start moving your body, start moving your thoughts, go out for that walk. 10 minutes of a walk does count. 1 minute of a plank, it does count. It might be all that you're able to do for a bit, but really push through and start moving. And the last one is to have a routine. All the other things that I said before really can't happen without carving out that routine. And whether it's having the routine at first, just your morning routine, just having a routine, because you realize like you probably have an Instagram routine. I know I have an Instagram routine. It goes grab my tea, sit on the edge of the couch and scroll for a bit. You know how to have a routine, so just translate it into stuff that is going to be more beneficial. So that's the cashback method. And I just think that more people could use my name and my acronym just to get their own cash back, increase your frequency, increase your currency, and just love yourself again. You can do it.
Thank you so much for being the guest on this podcast. I really appreciate it. And I know 1 is a million. I know it's going to be more than one listener. Yet even if it's just one listener that listens, there's an impact that's going to ripple through.
Oh, thank you so much.
Remember to be kind to yourself.
I'm going to. Yeah.
Hey, you made it all the way here. I appreciate you and your time. If you found value in this conversation, please share it out. If there was somebody that popped into your mind, take action and share it out with them. It possibly may not be them that will benefit, it's that they know somebody that will benefit from listening to this conversation. So please take action and share out the podcast. You can find us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok under LiftOneSelf. And if you want to inquire about the work that I do and the services that I provide to people, come over on my website, come into a discovery call, LiftOneSelf.com. Until next time, please remember to be kind and gentle with yourself. You matter.